Expo is pretty important, but obviously early game, if you go with the Crypt Lord and they don't have a Mountain King, you're free to at least set up 2 Expos on your while you're teching. The reason that you don't go Ghouls is because Ghouls kind of run out of usefulness in the long run, especially against an Archmage, because what they're going to do is they're going to go Water Elemental, and they're going to solo your army with 1 hero and Water Elementals. So that will never work out in your favor if you go Ghouls. Let's see, what else? Yeah, if they go tanks, I really wish you could use Cripple against tanks, but you cannot. So what you should really actually switch to is get 1 or 2 Frostworms, Meat Wagons, Necromancers, and I guess Fiends, and then you basically Necro Wagon the base with the tanks that are coming out. You'll Unholy Frenzy the Frostworms, and you chase down tanks with your hero just because you obviously need the Orb of Corruption just to take them out fairly quickly. And keeping a shade on, like, if you keep a shade near their workshops, you can tell when the tanks are going to be coming, so you can creep a camp and then head over to the tanks and take them out as soon as they leave the towers, so you don't want to face tanks against a bunch of towers, because obviously the towers are going to rip you to pieces, not rip you to part. I was going to say rip you apart, but whatever. So, yeah, basically I do use this strategy a lot. I know a lot of human players that have issues with it. Actually, I know a lot of human players that have issues with my undead in general, which I think is funny. But, you don't really know what else to say about this strategy that would be relevant. Just trying to think. If they do end up going with a mass air strategy, like a bunch of D-Hawks and Griffins, you want to switch to a more Fiend-based army. Like, you want to somewhat adapt your army to what they're doing, but you also want to, keep a basic mix of units in there, just not only to keep them guessing, but also to, this is going to sound lame, but increase the quality of your army, because the more units you have mixed in, the more different properties of your units that you will have. So it becomes harder and harder to counter an army with a good mix of units. Not like get 1 of every unit. That's obviously stupid, because if they're going mass air and you get, oh my god, 1 of every unit, you're going to have issues against the mass air. So you want to keep a mix of units, but you want to keep it as an appropriate mix of units. And that just basically comes with scouting, like sticking a shade on their army to see what they have, see what upgrades they have. Because obviously if they're upgrading like Griffin damage, but not their armor, that means they might be going Knights or just maximizing the damage of their Griffins and Knights. So you can kind of guess where they're going with the upgrades, but it's always good to be safe anyways. Shoo, I believe I will end the audio off here. It's not one of my most fantastic audios, but it's... when you're introducing a strategy, it's a little difficult to cover all the basics of a strategy, as opposed to all the minor things that they do, and it's a little hard to cover the minor things that they do on Lost Temple, because there aren't really many minor things that you can do, because, as I said, it's more macro-based, and when it comes to right-clicking units, saving units, basically you want to focus fire the Griffins first, just because they're going to be doing the most damage to you, and then you kind of want to keep your Fiends away from the heroes, try not to let your DK get nuked, and I guess sleep the MK or the Paladin as much as possible. Either one works. It depends how low your heroes are on health. Like, if they're going to be right-clicking heroes a lot, you want to sleep the Mountain King a little more. So knowing their playstyle through the first couple battles is pretty important. And analyzing their playstyle, that's a sort of an advanced technique, is that when you're in your first couple battles, and I don't mean like your tier 1 battles, because those don't really mean anything. Well, they do, but not in terms of playstyle. When you're in your first couple battles after you hit tier 2, you want to see what they go for first. If they go for heroes first, you want to make sure that you have an invuln pod on the hero that they go for the most, which is usually going to be the DK. They're obviously not going to go for the Cripplord because he has the most HP out of any unit you're going to have. Besides Frost Worms, I don't think. Anyways, so you just want to make sure that, like, if they're going to be right-clicking units more, if they're going to be right-clicking heroes more. So you kind of want to play that into how you micro. And before you battle, you actually kind of want to set up an idea for what you have of the battle. Like, okay, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to make sure that I don't lose this. I'm going to make sure that this happens and this pans out. And you want to make sure that it works in your favor. I mean, obviously you don't want to fight a battle that doesn't work in your favor unless you're trying to buy time. Like, if you're keeping your rallied units at your base, like, you're building stuff and you're keeping them at your base just so that they don't get jacked, and then, you know, your opponent finds you and all you're trying to do is buy time for your, I don't know, your expo to get up or whatever, then it's a good time to TP, and fight a battle that you're probably going to lose, stuff like that. So, playing these tactical, and thinking games and applying them into your games is sort of difficult. But it's probably the most important part of the of Warcraft that there is. I mean, I've played people with about twice my micro and still beat them because I know what I'm doing. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're in a game. Alright, so that ends the educational portion of the audio. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. I got a few PMs. I don't think I'm going to read them because I don't think they're very interesting. I'll peruse my little box here, though. Yeah, another innuendo. I'm not going to... I'm pretty awful with these innuendos. I think everything that I think of just ends up happening that way. Come on, Internet. Work with me. No, nothing too good. Nothing entertaining. That's too bad. Oh, speaking of entertaining, there's this awesome music video that that I was watching. I forget what it was. Oh, it was the Chemical Brothers featuring Chaos, and it was called Get Me High or something. It was hilarious. It was like, you know, I almost don't want to explain it to you guys because it's that amazing. Basically, it's like a really old school kung fu movie set to music. It's absolutely amazing. So you guys should probably watch that. Sorry, this fool's hitting me up on MSN. He's calling me gay. You know what? He's Australian. And Australia has the highest percentage of gay people in the world. So I'm like, statistically, you're the fag. Yeah. Alright, so I guess I'll end the audio off here since I don't really have much else amusing going on. Yeah, so hope you learned something. Peace out.